This is why we can't have nice things. Oh my goodness. What is happening, people? Michael Bradley, Chris Hill, Andrew fishing the 262, Dave Richardson, Hooked for Life, Greg, Bradley, Vince, Anthony, and whoever else is out there. All right, guys, listen. So I said I was sitting there and I told the wifey, I'm like, hey, I think I'm gonna jump on and do a show tonight. Larry Hadley, what's up? And I decided because it was random, I said I'm gonna throw up that little the bait makers intro. So as you guys could see, I kind of was slapping a little fun at the fact of my copy's better than your copy and everything going on in the scene lately. But we're going to talk about that a little bit. Debo, what's happening, brother? I am Mike Murphy, otherwise known as Kuda. This is Jig Squad, the first kind of episode of the Bait Makers. We're going to talk about a few things tonight. Some stuff going on in the industry. I'm going to talk about some conversations I've had with friends recently. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to 100% give. I'm going to let it ride. I'm going to see how it goes a little bit. We might have guests jumping in at some point in time. As a matter of fact, hold on. I'm going to send a link to one guest right now. And they don't have to jump in right away. They can jump in whatever. But there's a reason why I had Danny. What's going on, buddy? Kingdom Crappie Lures, guys. If you haven't seen Kingdom Crappie Lures on Instagram, you should check them out. Some pretty cool stuff. Scott Walker, Little Rich. What's going on, guys? Let me try and do this here. So hold on. This is a message myself. Copy link. I'm going to send this to one of my friends here who is driving in a car right now. And I didn't want to put him on the spot. I'm actually going to send the link to somebody else. Hold on, Brian. Doubles. Don't feel obligated. Come in later if you want. You can listen in the car. All right, so we'll see what happens. Brown Bait Company, Jimbo Slice. I love it. Yeah, so a Sunday night, right? Just something. Guys, I'll be honest with you. I haven't done a show since what? Over a month's time. So, Debo, I just packed something up for you today, buddy. And you're the only guy that I'm sending these out. I've shared some with some people, but I sent them out. And I will get you more jigs. But I put together a little pack of jigs of the prototypes because I didn't want to wait that much longer. I'll give you guys an update on the jig stuff in a little bit. You guys want an update on the jig stuff now? Let's do it now. There'll be more people coming in. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find something for you. I want you guys to see something. All right, hold on. Wait till you guys see this. I'm going to present, and you're going to be able to see it. So if a friend of mine comes in, I didn't talk to him about this, but I'm sharing this. So what are we talking about today? We're going to talk about how people in the industry have lost their minds and are saying crazy, crazy nonsense. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. And then I'm going to talk about what it means when people steal and take other people's shit. But let me share this real quick. Share screen. I want to show you guys this. Okay. So let's see if you guys are going to be able to see this. Oh my gosh. What is that? What is that? All right, my little darlings. That right there is why your asses are all waiting. And if you're listening on audio, I'm sorry. But for everyone else, you're Whitaker. Yeah, they don't suck. Oh, did you use them today, Ryan? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know, dude. They've been getting used. So this is why this picture that's up right now, that's why everyone's waiting. Okay, guys. That's me sharing. Okay. Basso and Big Malone. All right, so guys, this is why everyone's waiting, because I'm having these made. I'm not going to be pouring them myself. Everything I have in my prototypes and what I've been testing over the last, I don't know, since really last summer, just almost a year, have all been prototypes. I poured all of them, but Nothing's changed in this final run. I'm going to be able to get my hands on this in the next 2 weeks. Basically, I'm just moving my design over to it. The reality is I have a wire keeper in the prototype. I don't have the lead, those lead little keepers. It's the same exact size. It's a 1/0 hook in there. There's nothing different. The big thing is, look at what Ryan said. I used one in a dream last night and caught giants. So the hook looks a little stouter. It's a 1X hook, okay? It's not a 2X hook, but the deal is it's as close as you could get to a 2X hook without moving to another type of Mustang hook. Jim, yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly what it is. I collaborated with Evan to come out with this design in an 1/8 ounce. And so they're going to be ready soon. So I'm super excited about it. So basically, this is the hook I've been using on mine all along the way. And I went to go and get a mold. It was going to have a mold made, and I wound up connecting with my buddy. And I said, dude, you already have this out there, this design that's absolutely perfect with the hook that I was already using. And I said, let's make this an 1/8 ounce. And so we did. So it's a done deal. They'll be here soon. So Jim hit it on the head. That's exactly what it is. So I'm excited. So this is what it's going to be on. Give it a couple of weeks before I get them. The shitty part is that I'm going to be back in school in a couple of weeks, right? So my summer kind of changed, and it's no big deal. But that it is what it is. So that's where it's at. I'm going to release a couple colors on the first run. Yeah, they're all footballs, Gator. Micro footballs. Understand something. I'm going to tell you guys this and that. Again, I designed this jig specifically to be used in shallow water. And what I mean by that, up to 12 feet of water. You can fish it deeper. There's no set rules on this. But I don't need weed guards. I don't use weed guards when I'm river fishing. I designed it to fish rivers. But it works really well in the Great Lakes as well. As a matter of fact, it's actually some of the colors have been crushing the largemouth as well. I have a couple of friends that are almost exclusively throwing this as a swim jig. So, yep, spinning gear. They're all 1/8 ounce. There's only one size, but this is what I want you guys to remember. This 1/8 ounce jig, after it's painted, thread tied, and with the skirt on it, weighs out. Yeah, brown color idea. Yes, sir. The thing is, it weighs out at almost exactly 3/16 of an ounce. So most people won't talk to you about that. No one will ever say that on their jigs, So if it's a 1/4 ounce weighted jig, it's going to weigh out at a 5/16, right? Or whatever, one size up. And that's pretty standard for any type of jig, right? So a 3/8 is going to weigh out at almost 1/2 ounce of a jig. And that's pretty standard whenever you're making jigs. And so you're understanding about what weight you're going to use on what type of system. So this hook, George, so the hook is this hook, it's a 1X hook. It's the best of the best in the 1X hook world. It's not a 2X hook. You could still use it down. I tested it all the way down to using it with 6-pound even mono. And the reason I did that is because my kids will use that and they'll swim it. The hook is what it is. I spent a lot of time on the design of this. So the only difference here is that there's the lead keeper on there after we had the mold made. So, but anyway, it's coming. So that's that. Let's get this off. That's the jig stuff. It's coming. You'll be able to get them through me. And I am going to be throwing mine on spinning gear. I designed them specifically for the Kankakee River, to be honest with you, because a friend asked me. Mustad, exactly. Ryan's got it right. But it's a 1X. It's like the beefiest Mustad 1X you could get before you move up to a 2X strength, which is still going to allow you to throw it on lighter line, is basically what it's going to do. And but anyway, I've been using this hook for a long time. It's in all the ones that I've poured myself. That's exactly what it is. This didn't get changed because the mold's getting made. There's only one thing different right now, and that there's some lead on the lead. Looks different on the shank of the hook. It's weighted exactly the same. It's exactly what I was making, but it's going to be made in a factory now instead of by me and somebody else. So that's it. All right, so let's get on to this. So I know there's been a lot of talk lately, right? Everyone's been fired up about all this stuff from going on with iCast and releases. The biggest thing has been, talking about a particular swim bait and that it's, Grow Lure Works or whatever the name of the other place is. It's a replica of it. Listen, I'm sure everyone's got a lot of different opinions. Brennan Brown, thanks, buddy. People have a lot of opinions. And, I don't disagree with people. But one of the things that I started seeing is that there's some people out there that started like taking pops or shots at other people and taking digs at them. And it wasn't just about disagreeing. If somebody says this is a knockoff, people shouldn't be able to do it. Yeah, people have assholes. That's exactly right. But the thing is, they were taking hits, making comments like, you take checks from people. Yeah, let's call that person out. Josh Chitwood from Dark Horse Tackle. Quit talking crap about people, telling them that they cut checks from other people and they shouldn't say anything. Because your dog-ass subscription box is a copy off of everyone else. So I'm just saying, guys, listen, y'all, you want to start talking about who's copying what. Let's see what happens when everyone calls things out. The reality is, how many Senko style baits are out there? A Yum Dinger, go on and on and on and on. Okay. There are changes. You don't think that Berkley made changes in that bait before they put it out? Slight adjustments. Was it influenced by it? I bet it was. And I'm not saying, guys, that people look at the Gilly the year before. I thought the Gilly was a definitive type of parallel type of thing, right? Was it last year? So I'm not saying that these things aren't knockoffs. I'm not saying they're not copycats. I'm saying that I'm not going there to 100% talk about that, to throw all my opinions out on that. What I am going to say is when things are copies and knockoffs is when people are 100% doing the exact same thing that you're doing. 100%. And you know what? And I'm going to start talking about it and sticking up for the jig makers, because you know how many people are copying jigs out there? The guy out on the West Coast, I forgot that guy's name. He's been blocked after talking all kinds of crap. There's the people that are taking other people's paint schemes and copying them. I had a conversation today with one of my friends, one of the best hair jig makers in the United States. And in that, here, I'm not going to say names. I'm just going to leave it as is, but I'm going to read a couple of things to you. Why? Because I want you to hear this. So everyone that says that they're not copying out there, right? And people don't do it. Just a few comments, not all of it. It's so draining. The industry's become cutthroat to operate in. And this is a legitimate business, by the way, guys. This person saying this. At any point, a customer or friend can copy a design and start selling it. Darius King, what's up? So here's my point. If you take from other people and you go and sell it, I've said it before, you're a dog, right? When you have one of the best in the business saying something like that, I see it a couple times a month, this person goes on to say. You want to know where this person is talking about? Some clown that they just happened to share some jigs with at the boat launch after the person asked how they were doing, and they said they were smacking bass, and they said, what on? And they said, on jigs. What type of jigs? Tells them. And the guy goes, oh, I wish I had some of those. And he gave him some of the jigs. Next thing you know, 2 months later, the guy's making them and selling them and trying to market it on Facebook. And more importantly, all doing it illegally. So if anyone wonders why we can't have nice things, this is one of the reasons why. I wish I could remember that clown's name on the West Coast, because I'd like to call his name out too. Nothing wrong with that, right? I don't know. These guys go out there and people do these things. It's an epidemic. Yeah, it absolutely is. And I know I made the comment about I said the company's name, right? There were slight modifications made to it. The biggest one everyone's talking about lately. But that's not it. I watched I watched somebody go on Alex Rudd's page, and I could really care less whether you like Alex Rudd or not, or what you think of Alex Rudd, or what you think of the company he works for or works with, right? Any of that, because we all have opinions of things, right? But when you go and start taking hits at people about you're taking checks from people and that's why you say that, you know what? Oh, there you go. Ryan Whitaker said it. Supreme Jigs, you guys are scandalous dogs, and anyone that likes them, they're dogs, and we have proof of it. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not saying more than that. There you go. Right there. I'm not here to knock them. I'm here to say you steal people's stuff. And I got proof of it. So, you know what? Guys, you want to know, and I'm going to say this. You want to know why I'm not doing shows anymore? I told you guys all that I truly didn't want to keep repeating things for people on and on and on. Right. And that came to be. But you know what? This industry isn't for me. I'm just gonna be honest. It's some of this isn't for me. I'm gonna make jigs, I'm gonna sell jigs, I'm gonna do it above board. I have to earn some of my Social Security credit still as an educator, and I'm excited about doing that. But you know what? I'm not down for the scandalous BS anymore. And I don't like the fact that people don't get called out and stuff. All right, so this is a great question. So Debo, how close? And this is so true because he further says right after it, Debo had said, a direct copy is the dog deal. However, where does the line stop? You know, right? Exactly. Look at the Senko. Senko is a great example, right? All right. So Debo says, my question is, how close can it be for people to not be pissed off? I'm not on one side or the other. But if one design was allowed, we'd have one spinnerbait, one ribbon tail. This is where I do agree with that. But look at what Ryan said. You know, exact though is too close, right? And I agree with that, right? So how I would have to imagine, like, if you look at the designs of some of the God, I really don't want to get into all the Nessie and everything else, but that's obviously the big one that people have the biggest problem with right now. There are slight variances. There's a slighter, a taller height on the body. It's got the same hinge type system. The tail is slightly different. But yeah, I think that's it. Exact is too close. You know, let me give you an example. The person I was talking about who's a jig maker, and it wasn't Ryan Whitaker in chat. Sorry, Ryan, I don't think you're the best hair jig maker in the country. The person I was talking to, they were saying the exact paint schemes. Like, there's sometimes people do and this isn't Larry, it's not Larry Hadley either. So I'm sorry, Larry, I'm not trying to get on your ass either. But there is a difference between exact, right, and then creating a genre, right? You know, so like Debo makes a good point. So like ribbon tails, Senko, I don't know, man. I kind of think the Senko is pretty unique, right? That's one, like I saw somebody making the comments on in the last couple of days that I don't necessarily agree with. Like, the Senko is the Senko, you know. That's the only one I don't agree with. But like when you talk about square bills would be another one. Is there something slightly different about the lip? Is there something slightly different about the contour of the back as it comes down? Is there something of the uplift of the back segment towards the tail? So a lot goes into that. And Ryan says earlier, so he's saying there's not an exact Senko ripoff. So there isn't, though, right? Because isn't that, well, I'm going to contest that slightly. There isn't an exact Senko knockoff because are you talking about plastic formula, salt content? That I would agree with. But I will say this, the molds, the exact Senko molds from the company are out now. Gary Yamamoto sold those to do it molds. So anyone who buys those molds, is the CNC versions, is able to use those molds, smaller companies, to make their own baits. And if they're selling them, then it is. So I'm splitting hairs a little bit. But I'm just giving examples. It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see what everyone thinks at these different levels. Paint jobs is something I have a hard time with. I have a hard time with jigs a lot. I don't know why. I do. And hold on a second. He's in the car. Let's see what he has to say. Hold on. Let me get the comment down and let me bring this boy in. Right. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
I got you, buddy. All right, guys. Ryan Whitaker is in the house.
I'm on the road with him. Sorry.
No, he's driving. I knew he was going to have something to say about it.
I'm hands-free, though. It's legal.
That's
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good. Can everyone hear Ryan? I think so. I can hear you, Ryan.
Okay, good. I have a Band-Aid on my forehead.
I know, dude. You know what? No one could probably see that. If I make you big right now, they might be able to see you, though. Let's see if I can do it. Let's make you big. Here you go. So everyone can see Ryan's got. All right, Ryan. So let's talk about this. What you and I have had lots of conversations about this over the years. Tell me what your thoughts.
Yeah, the Senko thing you're talking about is what kind of made me want to jump in, because I think that's a great example of what you're talking about. And that's somebody rips off a bait. A Senko is a different thing. It's similar to a crankbait, right? Because, it's the same shape. A square bill crankbait, there's not a lot of different shapes in square bill crankbaits, but they're all a little different. And the Senko is a great example of that, where you can't find a bait on the market that's the exact same as a Yamamoto Senko. It's a fall rate, it's got a softness to it, it's got a salt content, it's got a weight to it that creates the shimmy on the fall. And I've personally been at a test tank with all of the competitors of Senkos and dropped that, two guys, the Senko is rigged wacky on the same line, same hook, dropping them right next to each other, and we could not find two that were the same. They're all different. They're all completely different. To a casual fisherman, maybe they look at it and they're like, "That's the same bait," but they're not. And you'll get more bites than the Yamamoto Senko. I hate to say that. It's just they figured out the formula. It's the reason it's the number one bait in that category. And that's that. I mean, there's just not a direct ripoff of it. There's a lot of people that, I will say, people have been trying for a long time to directly rip that bait off, but nobody's gotten it. And that's odd. It's odd that nobody's figured it out, but they shouldn't figure it out. Because you know what? The guy made an incredible bait. So you make an incredible bait. Don't try to rip off somebody else's bait. You come up with an original idea, and then maybe your bait will be the bait that everybody's trying to rip off. And if they do it, those guys are the worst.
Yeah, and so Ryan, Tim Maynard is saying, I'd say that baits that qualify as knockoffs aren't exact copies, actually. Okay, and that's fair. Exact sets a pretty difficult criteria to follow, which is true. In the jig world, though, there are people that it is 100% exact, down to the hook, down to the molded head used.
Yep.
And that's a real thing,
Absolutely. There's exact rip-offs in a lot of categories. Definitely in jigs. I agree with you there. I mean, I know, I have a small jig company, and I know two people that have directly ripped off. Same hook, same everything. Same hook, same head, same weed guard, same skirting, same thread. Absolutely everything is the same. Maybe they make a different color. Does that make it different? I don't know. That's, I mean, that's the fine line of,
All
is
right,
that,
right.
yeah,
Answer this question. Anthony says in chat, and this is a good question. He says, what
yeah.
about the people who improved upon a great design? Are they copycats?
No,
I'm on the fence on that, and it would have to be exact for me to be pissed. But what about somebody that takes your design and says, I'm going to take that and then add to this? What?
well,
How do you
yeah,
feel then?
if they improved it, then it's different. Then it's not a copycat. If you improve on it, if you make it better, if you saw a problem with it and you fix it, then obviously it's different. So if it's different, it's not a ripoff. There's inspiration. There's, everybody gets. I feel like all bait makers. I mean, and there's only like a handful of baits I could think of that were like 100% original ideas. Like, the chatterbait. That's one right off the top of my head that was like, nobody had made anything like that.
Right.
And, that was an original idea. I mean, you'd have to go back so far, so many years to find the original makers of a lot of these lures. Even Larry Dahlberg, I used to be on a podcast called Straycast, and we interviewed Larry Dahlberg, and we talked about how he invented the whopper flopper, and he corrected us. He
Yeah.
said, no, he said, yes, I invented a bait called the whopper flopper. He said, but there was a musky bait out, 20 years before I ever thought about making that thing that was similar. I just made it better, and I targeted it, or I marketed it for bass and making a smaller version. So like even stuff like that, was made back in the 60s, and then people came along and improved it. And that's not a ripoff. That's inspiration. You took a bait that you really liked and you said, there's a problem with it, or I think I can make it better for different species, and then you take it and you make it better. But then there's people that literally see a bait and they're like, how can I make that? I want to make that bait and sell it. And those are the garbage of the world. Those are the garbage people that just try to rip it off to sell it and make money. And that's not cool. That's not original. That's not inspiring. That's not creative. That's not artistic. That is a con artist who's just directly trying to rip off your bait so that they can get a piece of what you've gotten. And maybe they're better at marketing, and then their company gets bigger, and then people think that bait's the original, and then that guy that doesn't have the marketing sense is left in the dust, and is sitting there saying, "Hey, I made that," and that's not cool. It's not cool at all, and it happens all the time. It's not just in fishing; it happens in everything. I mean, down to like plastic molding of bullshit bins and whatever,
Yeah.
Like,
Matt in chat, South Jersey Fisherman says, and he makes a good point playing off of what you said a little bit, Ryan. He said,
oh no.
He said, if the bait is improved or refined, not a knockoff. But if you're making the bait cheaper and ruining the quality and performance, why even make it? And I think that happens sometimes too, where you'll see, like my friend up north who was making hair jigs, and this person started posting hair jigs, and they were freaking god awful. And they were selling them, and there's people that are like, oh, yeah, I'll buy your hair jigs. And the hair's probably going to fall out the first time they fish it. And maybe not. But the point is, they look like garbage. I don't understand why people do that. I do understand the dollar end. People want to knock something off and think. Sometimes people think I could do it better than you because I could do it cheaper than you, and that doesn't make things better. It just makes them cheaper sometimes, and to make them as quality as, let's say, a decent product, and do it cheaper is hard to accomplish. So Ryan cut out, which is fine because he's in the car. The Lucky 13 bait Gator. I don't know what the heck that is. Gators, I don't know if we were asking about the Ford thing. Larry says, I try to take it as a form of flattery, but sometimes it plucks a nerve or two for reasons we have spoken about before. Larry means he and I have spoken about it. Yeah, and there's this thing, guys. There's this thing. Mario, is that mugging him up? What's up, buddy? Guys, if you guys haven't checked out on Instagram, mugging them up bucktails, Mario is a great bucktail jig maker on the East Coast, and I love him to death. I think that's him. I think that's Mario. So Larry, Larry and I have talked about this several times. And I just kind of thought it was fitting. And I know we're not talking 100% Nessie, but just the concepts of like, what are these things? And helping us all wrap our brains around this a little bit, because there are a lot of, I've been pretty strong in my opinion so far, saying that you when you knock other people for their opinions, I'm not a big fan of that, right? I could disagree with them. I could think they're crazy. I could think a lot of different things. But when you knock them and you take shots at them, I don't know. And I'm going to fairly say this. Maybe I'm a hypocrite to an extent, right? And I know that. I'm a hypocrite to an extent that I can only put up with so much nonsense before I say people's names and call them out on their BS. And I haven't done that in the history of this channel, but no more, because this whole fishing scene industry isn't for me anymore. And that's why I haven't been around. I'm just going to be honest. I'm never going to stop making jigs, but I'm going to hop on. I'm going to do some shows once in a while because I like it. I don't know. But I don't owe anyone anything. I owe you guys an honest opinion, just being me. All right, so let me read what Mario says here. I believe you're right. If you modify a mold to accept bigger hooks or eyelets, not a direct copy, color patterns are color patterns. Yeah, that is. I mean, color patterns are color patterns. That's true. And because it's typically not just one color. It's a series of colors combined in a certain way to give you a certain effect, right? And here's the thing, guys. If you're making them for yourself, no big deal. If you copy them, if you knock it off, it doesn't matter. But when you start selling them, everything changes, because now you're not doing it as a hobby anymore. You're doing it for profit. And that's the difference. And I will stick to that until the cows come home. He froze. Yeah. He's out in the country coming back towards the city. Change the appearance to make it at least look like a different bait. That's another thing too, Brendan. Matt, I didn't catch all of Matt's show the other night, but I caught just a few minutes of it. Matt talked about it on a show the other night, and he's saying that I think it's like buying a Pontiac Fiero and expecting you have a Ferrari. Yeah, right. I mean, that's it too, Oh, I got you, Matt. He and Lucky 13. Mario, what's up, buddy? Now I see it's you. I'm catching up. Now you know where I'm at. It was funny. Did you guys hear Ryan talking about the Whopper Plopper and Larry Dahlberg? Dude, how many people remember seeing the shows of Larry Dahlberg on the Amazon River, freaking, and devil horses too, and freaking yanking those suckers and doing crazy cool stuff? Tim, I get you, dude, why you don't post, like it's, Tim, it's funny. Let me tell you, I think Tim's the one that said, this is why I don't post pictures of my jigs anymore. Tim, so funny enough, I don't know if I said this in the last show. The reason why I went and posted all those pictures of the jigs, they're not all of mine for Shapeshifter. They're not all going to come out at the same time. Some of them might not come out at all. But the reason I went and came out with them, because I go, if people see these along the way and stuff like that, and other people start making them, I want somebody to look and see, like, that's a freaking Jig Squad color, Like, I designed these whole line of jigs around color. Jigs are a dime a dozen, man. There's nothing spectacular about a jig itself. Colors are about, I believe line ties matter. I believe whether they're vertical or horizontal, whether they're 90, 60 degrees, all that matters. The weight of a jig matters. But to me, jigs, Shapeshifter jigs, for why I decided to do this, because I've talked about color my whole career on Fishing Tube here. And I wanted to be about my designs. JP, I mean, so there's a lot of thoughts on this. Little Rich likes the Fiero reference. Man, I don't know what happened. You must have seen an old Fiero go rolling by that hasn't been around for a while. But they used to have those little Fiero car clubs, and they would go all over the place. George is saying if there wasn't a basement bait maker, we would not have all the crazy designs that are on the market. Yeah, guys, listen, the cat that made the chatterbait, he was a basement maker, and I say that the chatterbait might be the most revolutionary technique to come along in fishing besides the Senko. It's hard. That's hard to say all this, right? Because curly tails were a big deal, cream worms back in the day. Senko was big, and chatterbait were big. I really think that those are bigger techniques than drop shotting or anything else in the last X number of years. Andrew says, I've never sold a jig. Buddy might buy the hooks or whatever, throw you a few bucks for materials, right? JP, I know, dude, the Larry Dahlberg shows, those were like that was like the original version of River Monsters. You know, it was like, guys, you guys see this great class? Look at this great class. It's like fishing lures on there. And I got Dr. Pepper on ice in here. And then I got a separate Dr. Pepper with no ice. Yeah, I have two. All right. So Jermaine's in here. Everyone else, Scott says he fishes Chesapeake. White hair jig is the tops for jigs. Yeah. How about it, Scott? And anywhere you go. I actually had Larry Hadley make me a whole bunch of bucktail jigs. He's one of the first guys I started hanging around, like Instagram friends from the bucktail world. Lots of new guys. Mario's in here. Great designer. Lots of guys. Let's see. Yeah, you know, then you got the Spro stuff. Michael Bradley says he used to sell kits to make a Fiero look like a Testarossa. That's freaking awesome. What and who poured the very first plastic bait? I feel like Cream was one of the first plastic baits. So listen, let's talk about jigs while we're here. All right. So you guys want to see? I don't know if I've ever showed you guys these. Here's some things I made when I was with my friends over winter break. Just to give you a few ideas. Messing around, making some of our own little spinner baits. This is I like this one. This has got like a little, it's chrome and white, chartreuse and white. Of course, we were on a wire tie, and I'm with a whole bunch of guys that don't make baits, so I'll wire tie these up later. This is one of my all-time favorite colors. Actually, it's not. It's a chartreuse and white in this color with a red head. I freaking love it. And I have some other things I have to start showing some people that have sent me some pretty cool things. But I want to show you guys this. You guys showed me post the jigs. Oh God, what's gonna fall? What is them? That's not gonna work. All right, so these are the let's throw the big ones up here. The three ace. These things are freaking killer, guys. These are the new do it molds. Finesse. What's the name of it? Finesse something, Jay. What's the name of it? You got it right here. The weedless darter head. Smoke them if you got them. Smoke all my molds. I really love this thing, guys. It's great. It reminds me of the old Charlie Brewer type heads, even though it's absolutely nothing like it. The sizes in this, these are the same version of the weedless Midwest finesse hooks that are out there. Pours really easily. I painted all mine black. I poured 1/8 with a 1/0 hook in it, 3/16 with a 2/0 hook in it, 1/4 and 3/8 with a 3/0 hook in it. They do go up. You can't put 4/0 hooks in there. Yeah, JP, exactly, dude. That's the whole concept. Like I view this as like a largemouth bait. It's really, really, really good. Yeah, Matt, like a beefy slider, right? It's really what it is. Like, yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. So what else am I going to say here? All right, so here's the other one. Finesse swim bait head. Just going to do this. Got to do it. All right, guys, the finesse swim bait head. Just see it's smoked as well. Finesse swim bait head. From Doing Molds. You guys can look on the site to see them. I do have some of these poured, but I'm not posting these. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of this mold. The hook. Well, here, I'll just explain a little bit why. It's a finesse swim bait head. and it keeps us. It has a screw lock, which is a great concept. I really like the idea. 3/32, eighth, 3/16, quarter, 5/16, and 3/8 are the sizes. Great array of sizes. The 3/32 takes a 1/0 hook. The eighth takes a 2/0. 3/16, 3/0, 3/0 on the quarter, 4/0 on the 5/16, 4/0 on the 3/8. Okay, it's in the realm. I personally like. I want to be able to throw 1/8 ounce with like a 1/0 on there. It's specifically designed around the Victory hooks. What the heck is it? 101.11, which is really an O'Shaughnessy style bend, similar to the Gamakatsu 111, right? That's the impetus. I'm just I don't I'm not a big fan of it, just because I don't use those screw locks that much. I prefer the wire keeper. Some guys love the screw locks. It's just not me. So I'm not the biggest fan of the mold. It's okay, not the end of the world. If that's something you like, so be it. Just giving you my honest opinion of it. I don't like the head shape either. So that's my opinion. It does have a great array of ranges. That hook 101.11 is good. You got to be careful though, because some of the Victory hooks are inconsistent with the size of the barbs. So, but they're sticky sharp. But there's a lot of inconsistencies with the barbs on the Victory hooks, and that is a problem. So, just being honest. So, but my finesse one that looks like the reminds me of the Charlie Brewer is awesome. So, all right, guys, let me double check here in chat. I want to make sure, because I'm sure I miss you guys once in a while. Yeah, Matt, this is so. I'm just going to highlight this because. All right, Brennan, I'll answer your question too. So, Matt, I like that sliders are too wimpy. The hooks suck on the Charlie Brewer slider heads. These hooks are good. And they're wide gap. They really function very similarly, and it's weighted really well. It just is. I don't know what else to say. Actually, I could show you guys how, people will tell you, no. Brennan, the reason I smoke the mold is the soot allows it to release the lead a little better, so you don't have to spray compounds in there. All right, guys. So listen, vertical line tie, simple little knot, straight up. Here's the balance in the jig. It's pretty good. I'm happy with that. You could see that the reason this happens this way, obviously you put the plastic on, it's going to change it a little bit, but the weight forwardness of the weight there, 3/4, even though it's larger in the back, 3/4 of the length of that lead input is in front of the hook, which is going to allow for some balancing, which is good. That's a positive thing. So even though this has this wide gap function, it's going to give you some similar effects or ways of fishing it that would be like the Charlie Brewer slider head, which is infamously known for having horrible hooks. So anyway, yeah, so many techniques. I mean, you see some of the comments in chat. There's so many cool things that you could do with it. Do a mold, hit it out of the park with that. Fat Guys Fishing has one, which is a plastic mold company, but their mold, they make some lead molds too, apparently. It's like $180. I don't know why you would get this. This thing's like $50, $48 on Barlow's. So it's a great deal. Let me see. All right, Matt saying subtle changes make a big difference with jigs. Like instead of including all the weight on the head, you incorporate more weight into the shank of the hook for a horizontal fall and smaller head. It's very true, man. And I see a lot of spinnerbait companies doing that. Andrew, you don't like the way it looks. It doesn't like the way it looks. The finesse swim jig. All right, let's see if I'm missing anything. He seems to be hinting that it was inspired by the mag trap. Yep, that's right. I heard that people saying that too. These guys I just have to listen when they start talking because they know all this stuff and I don't know shit about what they're talking about. Jim, owner, had a very similar darter head 20 plus years ago. And very interesting. There was another one too, and I don't know if it was a local guy. I don't remember what I have in my head. But this very much, even though it's not the same exact thing, it reminds me of it in a lot of ways. Basically, how I've used it since I had it for about a month before the release, and I've been using it with a chigger crawl on the back end at ponds, fishing on grass weed lines and pulling it through grass. So I've really enjoyed the technique, and not using it as like a minnow type profile, but with like a craw type profile. So yeah, I've had fun with it. So Brennan's not going to offend any companies now. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on all this stuff going on lately. I honestly think people have lost their minds. There were people saying crazy shit. And it's not just opinions, it's like knocking other people. And I'm like, what is going on? An old owner darter head. JP's talking about that too, Jim, saying he's done it. In Charlie Brewer's defense, his bait was designed 50 years ago. Right, Tim? AKA when Eagle Claw was the only hooks available. No, mustads are probably around then too. Seems like they would have at least updated the jig hook by now. You would think. You would think. And I'm going to tell you, all I know is every conversation I've been having with people has been talking about how it's like I'm getting phone calls, guys. I'm getting phone calls saying, does this function just like the Brewer head? Yes, it absolutely does. So I'm saying that. You guys can, some people are saying they're buying a mold just because I've told them that in phone conversations, but it is really good. And as much as I don't like their swim bait mold, I don't like it. I love this one. So, and the new paint colors are fantastic too. So I'm just being honest, guys. You guys all know I'm with doing molds. I'm not going to blow smoke at people. Brown Bait Company, you know where this hat is from? Hella. That's why I said that right there. Nice hat, man. Because Hella, I won this on Hella Bass's show. And so I'm so appreciative. It was a very nice thing. Hella Bass does a lot nicer things than I do around here. It is what it is. You guys are all online tonight. Who wants I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till the jigs come out. Hella, if you guys haven't seen this yet, hold on. Let me go on. I'm gonna share this. I want to share this again. If you guys didn't see this at the beginning, I want to share. You guys hear me talk about the jigs that are coming out, right? You've seen, if you don't see the pictures I post on Instagram of the colors, those are the colored jigs that are coming out. Almost all of them are out. There's some that have not been posted yet, colors. But so let me show you the picture of the head that is coming out. So I got to go to share, present, share screen, Pornhub. No, I'm just teasing. Share. Here you go. Jig Hub. All right. So that is the head. And this design is originally by Evan Luda. And I told him Evan Luda had this in like a half ounce and a 3/4 ounce. And I called him. I go, Evan's from Omerta Tackle, and he deserves the credit, but I'm just telling you. I said, Evan, I've been pouring all my heads of these football heads. Guys, like, I'll show you. Just so you guys understand it. So I pour all my own heads, right? This is the one that's going to be the hot ticket. Let me make myself big. 2-inch profile. But like I said, so you guys get an idea. This is what I'm making. As you could see how it's got the old lead keeper there? And then I added the wire keeper, right? So, but it's a Mustad 32786 football head, hand tied, thread tied. I've thread tied it a specific way to make the profile look bulky, the front part of the head. But anyway, this is the head that it's going to be on. It's being made. It's coming. Brown Bait Company. It's rubber, but it's got that chalky effect to it for a while, so it looks. Yeah, it's on there. So let me go back to this. Hold on. What happened there? Why do I got to go to this again? Let me go to present again because that stop screen. Let me do it again. For some reason, it cut it off. So this is going to be the head that it's going to be on. So that's the difference. So instead of me having, you guys could see that mine right here has that goofy little from the mold, that little triangular lead keeper and the wire keeper. It's the same hook, same everything. It's just going to have this now instead. So I'm super excited. That was kind of a collaboration between me and Evan Luda at Omerta Tackle. I'm excited as heck about it. It's awesome, guys. It fishes good. It's been crushing fish up on the Great Lakes, up in Sturgeon Bay for smallies. It's actually been doing real good for largemouth lately. You know, like I get crazy messages from some friends that have them. I don't know. I'm really happy about it. What size is head in the photo? That size of the head in the photo is a 1/8 ounce, hella. So it's the only one I'm making. I'm only making 1/8 ounce. Maybe down the line it'll be a different size. But you guys understand, I want people to hear this. Dorkfish, what's going on, buddy? The reason I made this jig is because I know Gators is ready to kill me. Because I technically, guys, here's the thing. I could have sold, let me stop sharing. If I can leave it up for a while so anyone that comes along can see this. I could have made all kinds of jigs, guys. Look at all these molds. Look at all that. I have like 60, 70 molds. I could have made a lot of stuff. But this jig was for me. I had a friend that's been asking me about making a jig for us to use on a specific river, smaller river, not like a big Mississippi river or something like that. Smaller Midwest river. And I weighed that river. We go in that river for walleye fishing, jet boats, everything. And he saw the micro stuff coming out and he's like, "Can you make this?" I go, "Yes." I said, "But I have to do it my way." He goes, "What do you mean your way?" I go, "My way is no weed guard. I don't want a weed guard. And I want to be able to use it, you know, drifting it through current seams, eddies. I want to be able to retrieve it if I want to. I want to create a bulkier head profile. In a very compact bait. Let's see if I can show you guys another color. Did you guys see the purple one yet? Purple and black. There's a couple. Debo likes this one. Hold on, I gotta stop sharing. There we go. See, this doesn't give it justice. You guys have to see the pictures. Everything is about adding a degree of translucency to all the baits. This is not going to do it. But the point of this is, even if you get some drag resistance in the water, let me see if I can do this. Do you see how you're going to get a little bulkier body profile here? And the reason for that is, I'm not going to give away all my, this would be a good example of what it's going to look like in the water. But it's only a 2-inch profile. This is going to be pushed in a little bit. The reason you're going to get that little bulkier profile is because of how I tied it. So how you tie things in will also help dictate what the volume of that main portion of the bait is going to be. Yeah, Ryan, I know, brother. I figured you were probably on 57. I knew, I'm like, he's coming home. It's always a dead spot coming home from there. Or the Indiana border if you were closer over that way towards Moments. Frank, what's up, buddy? Thank you, dude. So there's a reason for that. It's a small little bait profile, that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted it to be that jig. And I'm like, if I'm going to put something out, I want it to be put out because I want it to have this bulkier little shoulders and breast on the face, on the front part of that jig, short profile. And I wanted it to do the things I wanted to do. Ryan Whitaker told me something a long time ago. He said, he goes, "I don't want to create anything that I won't use myself." And I always thought of that. And I got all kinds of jigs around here. I gave away a jig. Listen, here, I'm going to show this up. If he's watching later, this is for him too. One of my buddies, Eric, who I saw yesterday at the at the Kalesack Bass Tournament. This is a hybrid grass jig mold by Do It Molds, which is a fantastic mold. Look at this little bent. The bottom one's a little bent. The lead keeper. It's just phenomenal. It's a great jig mold. These take a long time to make because I like to doctor up the eyes. I like to coat them. But this is white, a little bit of blue, and a little bit of orange. But it's just, see, this is the type of stuff I like. And Matt, you got to find me on Instagram, buddy. I'm not doing a website. It's all going to be via PayPal and Venmo. You're going to have to see me on Instagram, my friend. Or I could send you pictures too. I can always do that if you email me at jigsquadfishing@gmail.com. So if you're not on Instagram, if you go to jigsquadfishing@gmail.com, I can always connect with you, or I could text you pictures and stuff. But Ryan always told me, he goes, I don't want to make something that I don't use myself. And so this is something I wanted to make for what we use, and I wanted to share it with the world. And the colorways is what I feel that I'm good at. I design colors that other people don't come up with. And my whole concept is designing colorways that have a degree of translucency to them. And depending on where they're at in the water column or on the bottom, they're going to change. So if that bait, you think it's going to look more purple, it's going to look more purple when you're on a darker bottom. If you're, depending on the light that's out there, the color of the water, it's going to look more translucent, right? You're trying to imitate one of two things in the water, a bait fish or a crawfish. It's one or the other, right? And in this way, it has both effects, right? The profile of the bait is important when it's on the bottom. It's also important when it's swimming through the water. This bait was designed and specifically tied for those things. So that's my speech. What did I miss? Matt, did I hopefully I answered that a little bit. Not a good answer, no website, but yeah, Frank. And guys, listen, if you don't have Instagram, my email is listed on the page, jigsquadfishing@gmail.com. Just email me and I'll always send you pics. Matt, yeah. Most of the things that I posted, Matt, that I don't say or somebody else's are all the Shapeshifter line, and I typically mention it. So you could see the colors. When I release these, I'm only going to release like 3 colors to start. And you guys, I don't understand. So I'm looking to make another job for myself. It's going to kind of be like a small batch, release a bunch, and there'll be none available till the next time I make more. Frank, that was good. Train station to pick up the wife and daughter. If you don't pick them up, you're in trouble. Thanks, brother. So guys, I don't know. I mean, we talk about designers. We talk about the things we do. Couple things. I'm going to try and keep this around the hour mark, right? I'm not running out yet, but a couple things. One, we're all going to have some differing opinions on how some of this looks, but I do think that it's worthwhile to at least allow ourselves to have some reasonable conversations sometimes about how we feel and some of the language. Like one of the things I learned tonight, and it's not that I haven't heard them before, but it's teaching me to remember this, is when people talk about knockoffs. Is there a difference between a knockoff and a copy, right? You hear that conversation once in a while. So it's important to think about these things and say, are there other opinions out there? And is it worthwhile for me to hear what other people say? Might it inform me? Does it make me better informed? Does it make me more readily accepting of the fact that I can change my mind? I can have differing opinions, and how far these things go. So I just think it's important, I know I dropped some names tonight, and I don't care that I did. It's about time, people can't be out there yapping their jaws saying crazy, silly stuff and not have repercussions, and they act like 2-year-olds when they get called out about it, which has happened to all the clowns that I mentioned tonight. So it is what it is. They're entitled to opinions just like everyone else, and I respect their opinions, whether I agree with them or not. But when they take shots at people, they're scoundrels. And I think once in a while, it's our job as the fishing community to call out the slapperellis and say, you guys are a bunch of slapperellis, People are getting tired of it. Like I see those posts being made, like, hey, some people are just wiping it off. People are making crazy comments. They're pulling it off. They're tired of it. And so I don't know. It's worthwhile. There's a lot of people fighting for the little dog with the Berkeley stuff going on. It's fine. I haven't gotten fully down that road, but I do think it's worth that larger discussion for us to think about why we feel the way we do. Are there variances and differences in circumstances that would make us change our minds in differing situations? And Bass, like he said, sometimes you just got to get called out. Guys, you got to understand. I would like to call people out more often, but I said to my wife before the show, I'm like, I want to tell everyone to go scratch, and she's like, probably not the best thing to do, and publicly. I go, I don't care. No, I do care. It's not necessarily what people think of me. It's just the fact of being a good steward. Because I think we all play this role where we have to be stewards for the industry to some extent. And I do think the industry has absolutely lost their minds. And when I say the industry, it's not companies, it's us, it's the people in it. We do crazy stuff, right? We all do, and we make mistakes. Stress is a killer, right? Exactly is. But I will say this, we also, one of the hardest things to do in this world is to temper ourselves and to, we can't just flippantly go say whatever the heck we want sometimes. And we have to learn to work within systems. And some people may not want to hear that from me. I don't care. That's my opinion, but I do believe that conversations are valuable and worthwhile to have. And it's one of the reasons, I don't like hearing things I heard tonight. Like Tim Maynard say, that's why I don't post jig pics anymore, because people take it. I used to say years ago, like, guys, I know what I did. I know what Jig Squad did, yeah, Caters, Tater says, he goes, you don't have as much to lose as others and or don't give a fuck. Possibly so. Yeah, but I do believe in people, right? I inherently do. I think people stink, but I also believe in people too. It's the only thing that can make the world better sometimes, right? So, guys, I don't know. I'm not doing a regular show. The one thing I'm going to say, Ken Duke and Brian the Carpenter are supposed to be doing a show where they're bringing couple different people on and having some conversations about varying topics, which, to be honest with you, is one of my ideas of what I wanted to kind of do with Jig Squad moving forward. When I saw they were doing it, I go, they're going to do a better job than me of doing things like this with, they just are. And I didn't want to, so for me, I feel completely free about getting on here once in a while and just doing a show. I'm not going away, but I don't like the industry right now. I don't like how things are going down. I don't like somebody ass kissing. I don't like the copycats out there. And there's people in the jig industry that I haven't called out. I threw some things out there tonight, but there's people in the jig industry that I haven't called out that did some shady things to me. And, it's my own fault. Like I put out a lot of stuff and allowed forums to have, that's okay. I knew what I was getting myself into. It's fine. I don't have to worry about it. I can handle myself. But the reality is, I'm not going away for good forever. I'm not doing regular shows right now. Could that change? What I've learned in the scene is that anything can change, right? People don't want to talk about just jigs all the time. That's the truth. Half of you here are not just jig people, the jig people come and go. It's a niche thing. And I know I'm a jig guy, but I think sometimes we got to have these conversations about other people and what's going on in the scene. So I don't know. Maybe you guys only want to hear me talk about jigs because I'm not as informed about other things, but hopefully I bring another perspective for you on some things. And I do appreciate everyone's time. So the way you're going to know when I release some jigs is I'm going to post on Instagram. I probably also will hop on here and do a quick little show. If I do small little runs, guys, I don't think there's enough people out there to want my jigs, to be honest with you. But when I say small little runs, they're not going to be these big little runs, right? But when I do, if you don't get one, or if you want something, once I get these, I will, if you're somebody that I know regularly and I know the name, I'll do anything for, and I'll put some your own little package deals of jigs together, even if it's some different colors. But in terms of mass releases for just taking random orders from people, I'm not going to do that except for the ones that I post. So let's say there's 50 jigs of a color that I put out there on Instagram. When those 50 are gone, they're gone. If one of you guys wants some of those colors still, I can still make it. Trust me, I have enough to make thousands of every color that I would need. I will take care of you and try and get you set up, right? But I'm not going to do that for everyone. If it's not somebody I don't know real well, then they got to work within that 50 realm or whatever I decide to do. So I don't know. It might be 2 colors, might be 3 colors, but everything I put behind, because like we're waiting for this jig to come out. So, but that's it, man. I don't know if anyone else has shows on tonight. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a great week. This is Jig Squad, the bait makers, and maybe we're just gonna do the bait makers for a while now and see what else happens. And we'll talk. So I'll probably get copyright for playing that Rage Against the Machine at the beginning, but they can kiss my ass. Maybe I can edit it out. Let's see. Maybe we'll end it on that one too. Let's get back to it. Let's hit play. No, it's on an advertisement. Something went wrong. We don't want to hear the advertisement. Well, that's it, guys. We're going to dip. Everyone, have a good evening. We're out here.